we're 7 games up right now. We're not even in June. That could be a double-digit lead by the time we get to the end of June if things continue to go our way. We'll see if the Mets get on a hot streak. It's a long season, but the fact is we're right back where we belong, and we're doing it with a lot of different pieces. But, Mike, one of those pieces that we questioned and whether it was the right decision was Vaughn Grissom. So if you missed this over the weekend, he had a tough weekend, okay? But the errors have been accumulating. And when you start to feel like a guy is costing you games or potentially – you should get out of an inning, all right? This is how this compiles, guys. Errors made, you should get out of an inning. Pitcher stays out there a little bit longer than he needs to. All of a sudden now it impacts your bullpen, and now you're getting into the next day. I mean, there's just this ripple effect when these kind of plays happen. So Vaughn Grissom has been sent back down to Gwinnett. And, Mike, a lot of people are saying, all right, so what do we do with him? Do you keep him in AA or AAA, should I say, for the rest of the season? You use him, I think, as you need to. Guys, he's learning. He didn't come in here as an all-star gold glover. We knew that. And that's why, Mike, we talked about this transition of, okay, is he going to be able to make the transition? He basically had one offseason with Wash in New Orleans working on how to be a better fielder. It takes a lot longer than that.
Yeah, I mean, they got him at home with a VHS tape of Tom Amansky's defensive grills, Carl. I mean, it didn't happen overnight. But no, in this situation, I think some Braves fans, because there was such high expectations that Vaughn Grissom was going to be just like Michael Harris, he's going to come out, be ready to go, and stick with the club. And that didn't necessarily happen. And then some Braves fans freak out because the guys like Pache and Waters don't pan out. You feel like all of a sudden they're going to send Vaughn Grissom out with the bathwater. No. He's got plenty of time. Young. But there's this feeling that he's kind of missing his opportunity here. For instance, Saturday. It was a bad day. And bad day in the field. Was it the double? It should have been a triple where he does get out of the box.
Correct.
And then he's kind of loafing. So that's a bad day. He gets hit right back down to Gwinnett. Some guys were hitting us up earlier saying they're going to mess with his head. I think he's mentally tougher than you guys think he is. And Dansby had to go back and forth. Dansby went down. I think it was his second full season. They sent him back to Gwinnett to get his head right. Thinking how that worked out. But I think there's just some reluctance from some Braves fans. They just don't like to see him going like a yo-yo, back and forth.
As far as changing positions, I'm not for that. I know we've had this conversation, Mike. When you don't have a position and you're trying to find a way to get a guy on the field, we throw these options out. Well, he can be an outfielder.
Play outfield.
I don't necessarily agree with that. But I would ask Braves fans this. Do you have your shortstop of the future right now? And if you feel like I don't, then relax. Because he's going to have an opportunity to win the job when his time comes. This is why Adrianza and all these guys have been so important. And this, again, it gets back to the brilliance of AA. I mean, we can say all that. AA could have went all in and said, Grissom's my guy, started him at the beginning of the season. He could be having these errors, Mike, and we'd be hot right now saying, well, why the hell are they playing him?
Because you don't want the guy to, if he pulls, let's be honest, he's got like 15 errors by the All-Star break. That's a problem. So you got the good news is Arcia comes back. They don't even mess with like a rehab start, which is silly. And we just put him right back out there. He goes 1-for-4 with a big hit. And Arcia's look like he's fine. I mean, the guys were on a cast a few days ago. He's back out there. But you don't really have to push it. I think that's the thing. You don't have to, stick and put more pressure on him. I think he can look. He can hit. Here's the thing. Shoemake's all glove, no stick, and Grissom can hit, but the fielding's a little sketchy. So that's how do you find that balance? I got to be honest with you. I'm more upset or nervous about what's up with Max Fried. Because you've already lost Ian Anderson and Tommy John.
True.
Kyle Wright, was it 2 days ago? I was out of town, but they had the MRI shoulder strain. So all of a sudden, Dylan Dodd, I think, is okay. I like what he does. But Bryce Elder is doing okay. Still, I'm just nervous because Max Fried getting a start pushback and have a really poor outing. Doesn't that give you a little bit of pause, make you nervous?
So this was an exchange from Snicker with Mark Bowman, who covers the Braves for MLB.com, talking about the uncertainty of Max Fried, his next start. Listen to this.
No, we're just going through some things right now.
You think he'll pitch on Friday then?
We're still, I don't know. We'll know more tomorrow.
That makes me nervous.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, usually Snit's pretty forthcoming with he feels good, he'll be ready, he'll play. We're not certain. Right. That makes me feel a little bit like, okay, is there more to this? And they're not telling us right now. Or maybe Snit didn't know at that point. But even if he did, Mike, I hear what you're saying. Because if you're going to start letting the Mets catch you, that's how. When you're pitching and your starting rotation starts to fall apart, and you've only got two arms to rely on in Morton and Strider all of a sudden now, that's because you can't throw those guys out there every other day. So that's how teams can make a run. And, I say this all the time. Starting pitching is your momentum, guys. It's how it works in baseball, all right? I covered the league for years. You have guys come in, they lose 6 in a row, and you go, well, what are you guys going to do? and they go, "Who's starting today?"
Yeah.
Because that's the key.
No, I mean, because they got the season ended. You beat the Mets out for the division, and you're rolling to play Philly, and you got no momentum. And you had two pitchers. You had 2.5 because remember Strider was on a pitch count.
That's right.
And of course Max losing that first game. And to remind you guys, it just completely just overturned the vibe. Kyle Wright won 20 games last year, and now you don't know if you can get that production this year. It's big. And then you throw in the Fried concern. I'm not trying to be a worry wart. I'm just saying, you may have to go shopping. And the other thing is, you had all these injuries. We just talked about Travis d'Arnaud's coming back, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Everybody's been out. You lost Michael Harris for an extended period of time, and yet you still are 7 games up on the Mets. It's unbelievable.
By the way, don't you love Money Harris taking it personal that they decided to pitch around Ozuna?
Well, first off, just the fact that they pitched, you and I had this conversation at any point that they'd be
pitch
pitching
around
Ozuna.
Well, listen, it's a numbers game, man. If
Right,
a
right.
guy is hot, you don't take the chance. But Mike, the thing that I love is the attitude, the balls on Michael Money Harris to be like, "Oh, that's what y'all want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool." I mean, I love that attitude because in big game situations, if that was to happen, you feel pretty comfortable about money coming through. Here's what Brian Snitker said about Arcia, Mike. And again, if you think this is a vote of confidence or that he really likes the fact that Arcia is back, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a risky, high reward, risky play. I love the fact that he has the confidence to make a play. Those are huge. Anything can happen. Pass ball, block ball, air, ball over the end, whatever. So he had an unbelievable game at shortstop today. Just the plays he made were unbelievable.
That's it on Arcia.
Yeah. So Arcia's not going anywhere. He's hit okay. He's back. The hairline fracture's okay. So I'm with you. Look, I get it. I wanted Vaughn Grissom to be the guy out there too, and he may be the guy. But right now it's Arcia, and we'll see. The good news is you can always bring him up in a pinch, and he can hit. And maybe he needs to start getting that bigger glove and getting the outfield.
How big of a glove?
Well, the outfield, you get a bigger glove out there. Just saying.
Like 3 sizes the size of a regular glove.
I mean, but I'm just, they got options. And, this team, you said this earlier to start the show. I don't know what the Orioles were thinking. Maybe it's station to station baseball. The bigger baseball guys are taking more risks. But Acuna, that's like one of the plays of the weekend. The punch out.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, man. I mean, I think there are guys who you don't test their arm. And he's one of those. I think guys are testing it, Mike, because they want to see if he's fully healthy.
Right.
I think some of these managers and coaches are like, we're going to run. And you start that in motion, and all of a sudden you see him woo, with that bionic arm, and you're like, oh, we shouldn't have ran. I think people are going to get the message here pretty quick.
One of the things we said, going all the way back to when Pitches and Catches reported, is this is the year Acuna wins MVP, right? This year he puts it all together, plays 150 games or more, avoids the injury bug, knock wood, and then he goes and just rakes. Well, Dave O'Brien had a really cool stat. Players that rank in the 80th percentile or higher, exit velocity, the 97th, sprint speed, 81st, arm strength, 100. These are the metrics for Ronald Acuna, which that equals MVP.
Yeah, I just know he's good.
Period.
And for me, it's been about him and the health situation. Guys, you go back to 2018 when he bursted onto the scene. He's been a dude. He's just not been completely healthy. And I think the confidence level last year really affected him. He said as much at the end of the season, guys. You heard him. But now, forget about it. Like, he's doing everything a superstar does, and I think he's the best player in Major League Baseball right now. Let's hope that continues. It's Dukes and Bell, Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.